This is Jason Cass, and this is Ryan Hanley. We're just going to jump right into this. It was funny. I should have hit record. We won't go back through the conversation, but if any of you guys know, you're probably very excited. You're listening to this podcast, and it's been a while. It's been at least a year
At
since
least.
Hanley, and it's about right about every 12, 14 months we do one of these. This is fitting for a couple reasons, but Ryan, welcome back, dude, to Agency Intelligence Podcast, brother.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. One of my favorite groups, and obviously our conversations always go in ways that we can never predict. So I always look forward to when we get the opportunity to talk some shit.
Well, and you know what's crazy is we're always at a different spot in our friendship. Sometimes we're more distant and we haven't talked for a long time. Sometimes we're kind of sporadically in each other's life. And to be honest with you, I feel this way, Ryan. I'm thinking about this just now. I think it's more you than me because I'm still an agency owner here.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like buried in a job where you're like trying to get something off the ground. And it's like, well, he's in his cave for 14 months, and then he comes back out and stuff like that. Life is wild, man. You're doing fantastic things over there. You're blowing up. Sorry, loyal listeners. I'm talking just like I would talk to him just on a regular call.
But
Do you not
curse at numbers? Do you not curse on your show?
I do curse on my show, but I just try not to just throw out random F-bombs like that,
gotcha.
which was unnecessary, right?
Yeah,
Unless it's just you
that.
and I talking. But bro, so tell me, like, let's just start off right at the top. This finding peak is something that you really narrowed in on about 3 years ago or so, and it has really exploded. Tell me about that, man. Catch us up.
So one, dude, I always appreciate being on the show, and I really do love your community and the people that listen. They always send messages and stuff afterwards, and it's one of my favorite
loyal
groups
listeners,
that you've developed here. Finding peak. So
yeah,
I'm trying to. So you said life is crazy. I would agree with that. I also think you made a very astute observation that the hecticness or the fits and starts of our relationship and most of the relationships I have has to do with the fact that I'm kind of a masochist and I keep going back to these projects that are difficult, right? Like Linqura is a difficult project.
True.
I love the team. I love the product. I love what we're doing. It's difficult. Like we're building something in a way that most people don't understand, that most people don't actually care about, yet I know is intrinsically important to the future of our space and particularly to the future of independent insurance agents. And most people won't buy that. That's fine. When you post about AI related topics on LinkedIn, it's almost like posting about like BLM or like trans or something. Like people lose their friggin' minds.
It's true.
Really, like it
Very
is
observant.
like there's this you can tell, I think you just used the right word. I think there's this very nervous, anxious energy around this topic because I think it's very difficult to predict what's happening. I think the only thing we can guarantee is that our lives as insurance professionals, regardless of where we fit in the chain, are going to change. I think if you are intentional and thoughtful with how you approach AI, you will have the ability to continue to make all your wildest dreams come true, which is the birthright of every insurance professional. But you can also crash your ship into the rocks with this tech. And we talked about that. We've talked about that. And I've talked a little bit about that on LinkedIn as well. This is the first time. And dude, you and I were standing shoulder to shoulder, different mountains, but standing shoulder to shoulder in 2015, 2016, fighting back against the InsurTech revolution, that all the things they were talking about were not going to put us out of business. And that, agents were, the most important part of the value chain outside of the actual product that we sell, and, on and on. And that was me from Agency Nation and you here from Agency Intelligence. And we were, with others fighting back against that. I am very worried about AI. I'm very worried. And the reason I'm worried is because right now, I could spin up an agency and do 60% of the transactional work that happens in an agency without a human. 60%. There's still 40% that I think would have to be touched, but you could do 60% of the stuff without a human being. And if you're looking at an agency and your culture is still very people-based, I'm worried that people will misunderstand the value that humans bring to this equation. And it's something that you and I have talked about forever. It's the human optimized business model. I'm getting defining peak, I promise. It's this
No,
idea of a human optimized business model that I built with Rogue Risk, right? We have
this
to
I love. Yes.
we have to recalibrate where the
Mm-hmm.
humans in our business add value. And in my opinion, there are 3 clear places where we stand out above and beyond anything AI or technology or automation or LLMs or whatever can do, which is solving problem, building relationships, solving problems, and selling shit. We can do that better. All 3 of those things we can do better. So if you're sitting there saying, Tammy Sue's value to this agency is because she has some intrinsic knowledge about carrier appetite, if that's all the value she brings, I can replace her tomorrow. I have that. Like right now at Linqura, we have mapped all 50, I shouldn't say all, 95+% of the 5,700 markets that exist in the United States. We have their appetites mapped in every state. So what that means is if you give me a business name and address, I can tell you rank ordered by their ability to cover that business, every carrier in the country, right? So if
That's
Sally's
nice.
intrinsic knowledge is appetite, which has been a position in many agencies for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That job shouldn't exist anymore. That doesn't mean Sally's still not valuable to your agency. It just means that particular piece of her value doesn't exist. We don't need that knowledge anymore. There are other things that we need, right? Her
That's right.
ability, maybe she's also a great connector and people love talking to her because when they have a problem, she's good at diffusing, right? So, okay. So I looked at all this a few years ago. And as I was starting to come out of Rogue Risk, this AI was really starting to take off. And I had plans with Rogue Risk at that time to really start to adopt this because, I had a certain vision for what I wanted it to be. That obviously didn't happen. But this was stuff I was starting to looking at. And Finding Peak really came out of this idea of AI is going to raise the bar of average, of what it means to be average. It's going to make that bar higher. So you have to be even better as a leader, as a salesperson, as a husband, as a mother, right? You have to be even better in everything you do because all that AI is going to do is penetrate our world more and raise the bar for what it means to be average. Because now someone who could never write a LinkedIn post in their life with the right set of prompts can write a LinkedIn post that makes them look like they're freaking Ernest Hemingway. You know what I mean? Like, so now if your skill before was, set hook, insert lesson, pivot to product, call to A with the David Ogilvy text shit. And, people couldn't help because of the psychological mind games you were playing with your words, but buy your product. Well, now someone who can barely speak English with the right prompts can put that same LinkedIn post out and get the same attention as you did. So, okay, how do you separate yourself? Well, we have to figure out, things like, and some of this is like, a lot of what I talk about in the Finding Peak and, the coaching clients that I take on, it has to do with, it's a series of different ideas that I've packaged together, which is how I consistently, despite the fact that, you can say whatever you want about my career, which most people's main issue in my career is that I haven't stuck with anything, which is, one way to look at it. Every one of those businesses I've taken from a place of not going particularly well to a place of going particularly well in every single case, which is undeniable. So basically what I teach is the mentality that I've had to put in place for me to be able to do that. And that's where Finding Peak comes, is the pursuit of us being able to separate ourselves, particularly in a world driven by AI.
Your human optimized thing always got me. Dude, I'll be honest with you. And I think I told you this a couple times. I think that's some of your best work. And I think you and I have always had a problem that we were always 6 months, 4 years ahead of the things that we would think about and write about. And I knew when you wrote about the human optimized agent back in 2022, 2023, I knew that you were way ahead of your term on that. And I think that only becomes more true in 2026, 2027, 2028. It does.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Now I have to clear the air on this stuff because there's a lot of agents who are listening to this are saying, Cass, are you going to let him talk this bullshit? And I'm going to say to them, no, I'm not going to. There are about, out of an insurance agency every day in every insurance agency across America, there's 5 things that we do. And 5 of those things are about 60 to 65% of what an agency does. And every one of them requires a human. Every one of them requires a human.
Hit me.
You could not do 60% of an insurance agency without a human. You couldn't.
Depends on the agent. Depends on the agency and the market.
Doesn't personal lines, commercial lines, doesn't matter. You can't do it. Only reason I'm saying is I know.
So the bad part about this conversation is how I'm going to win in front of your audience in about 10 minutes. So I like
That's completely fine. That's completely fine. I'm looking at that. My audience, 60% of what they do is 5 things. COIs requires a human.
No.
Billing requires a human.
Nope.
Yes, it does. Yes. In today's world, yes, it does. In tomorrow's world, yes, it does. Maybe not in 5 years, maybe not in 10.
Keep going. We'll talk through all of this. I love this. This just made my day, by the way. Let's go.
Well, it's completely fine, but you don't work in an agency. I own and run agencies. This is a fact. This isn't
I've been in agencies for 20 years. Grew my own.
In there, and you couldn't do it then with just 60 people. Because, dude, what we all do as agencies are those 5 things.
Bro, we weren't touching billing in the Rogue Risk days with digital automation. When you say have to do billing, what does that mean? What does have to do billing mean?
A customer has a billing issue because they had a deduction twice, or something didn't get, whenever they added a vehicle, it didn't come out the same way as they thought of it.
You're talking about a problem, Bill.
I'm talking about working in an insurance agency, Hanley.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
you said 60%. You could run an agency today, and 60% of those things you could do without humans. That's not so possible.
You're saying
in the insurance industry, you are required to have a human when you do a change. Majority of the work that agents do are changes. You don't have to have them do a quote, but yes, you do. You have to have a human to do a quote. Now, what type of human do you do this? Should it be a VE managed bot? Should it be a VE? Should it be a licensed person? I agree with you there. The work that's being done is completely wrong, but it still requires a human. And in this insurance industry, in my opinion only, it's going to require. We have humans right now that can't do things because they don't have a license. All of a sudden, we just think that now just some robot's going to start doing this stuff. I also look at where we're at, and I look at and I listen and I read. In the last 9 months, I've read 9 AI books and from the top people, and they'll all tell you 20 to 25% of the people who work in open AI do not think there will be AGI in the next 20 years. Read it, Empire of AI.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about AGI.
I'm talking about the overall structure of the hype of business. And this thing of us sitting here saying that you could do that today or even in 12 months or even in 24 months, it's not true. It can't happen in an insurance agency in Main Street America. Maybe some big broker can do it differently.
So let me steel man your argument so that we can agree that I understand what you're saying, and then I'll provide a counter. So what I hear you saying is that while technology is exciting and things are coming, however, the reality of today, the systems we have and the operational process that we have in place, it still requires human beings to be part of 60% of the process.
Litigation, yes, mandates that.
So
not litigation, regulation, and legislation. Excuse me.
Yep. Okay. So when you say 60% of the process, are you talking about a transaction or total time spent? I think those are 2 different things.
Well, I would agree. A human must be involved. However you want to define that, a human has to be involved in an auto.
So I think this is the first thing we have to just define, because I would actually, if you're not including time in your percentage, then I would agree with you. Because to me, I would agree that 60% of those activities probably do still need a human to press a button or double check work. I'm saying you can cut 60% of the time that individuals spend on transactional related tasks out of their day so they can focus on building relationships, solving problems, which is exactly what you said, and selling shit. That my argument is time-based, not transaction-based.
Man, I got to
So
tell you, dude, you got out of that really, really good. I'm telling you. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go back to
what do you hold on.
I'm going to
What do you
go
mean by
back to
got out
what
of?
you said. I'm
That's
going to
what I
go back
believe.
to what you said whenever
Yeah.
this is over to see what you said.
Yeah.
60%, I would say you would save 90%. I'm with you on that. On the time basing, 100%.
Because here's the issue. I completely agree, and our systems are still messed up, and all this kind of stuff. Like people were talking about. Somebody posted an art something about MCP protocol, right? Which is brilliant. MCP is a game changer. Nobody in our industry has MCP protocol, therefore it's irrelevant. And like eventually, maybe in the future, sure, but it's going to be a really long time. So I want to be clear, guys. I believe 100% that humans still have to be part of the process and touching things. But what I'm saying is, I built an AI agent hacking on a weekend. I think I was like two or three mezcal old fashions in, and built this process where I have an AI agent go into my email. And again, I'm using a microcosm, but I want to show you what I mean by time, right? So a big time suck for me on the Finding Peak side is taking in guest requests, vetting those guest requests, and then telling which ones I would like to have on the show, which ones I wouldn't, and then scheduling it. It takes a lot of time if I do it manually. But I created a workflow in N8M, which was a pain in the ass to learn, but once I did, it's actually brilliant. Where now, anytime, because it understands what a guest request looks like, anytime a guest request comes in, it categorizes it, labels it, goes out, does a full deep research report in ChatGPT 5, then emails me that report, puts a notification in with then a recommendation as to whether or not this person fits or not. So when I show up to the recommendation, I now have a 2-page report on what that person has done. And I have, based on my criteria, a recommendation on whether I should give this person a slot on the thing or not. That saves me about an hour's worth of time. Okay. Just so we're clear. Okay. So what I'm saying is not, I don't need to be part of that process. I wouldn't rest on the AI to tell me yes or no, absolutely. And I do want to look at the report, but I just saved an hour of my day and brain cycles by setting up this automation. So when I'm talking about 60%, now why is that important? And this is the last point I'll make, and then I'll move on.
I agree with you there, brother. 100%.
Yes, okay. So here's my point is not we're all going out of business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if 60%, let's just use 60% as a number because we're kind of stuck on that number, right?
Let's do it.
But so if Tammy Sue, if 60% of her time job goes away, the miss here is not properly reallocating her to revenue generating or revenue retaining activities that she can do explicitly that the AI can't. That's what I'm saying, is that we need to start to repurpose our people to those tasks. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's metric number 5 in the manual. It's called the SES, the Swing Efficiency Score. And it's exactly how much time efficiency, when you collapse efficiencies, how much you reproduce. That right there will be the deciding factor of what agencies go on and don't. The agencies who start saving all this time and don't allot it to reproductive things, and they let the people go, that's an agency that dies. I would say differently about that, Hanley, in 5, 6, 10 years. There comes a point in time where your efficiencies just get so great that it's going to deplete. I think the big thing that scares people
is the bar up.
It's also the licensed people that will go, because we're already too inflated with licensed people in our agencies. We already have so many licensed people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. When that time save comes, you're going to start to realize, like, outside of those high level things like sales and high level, in my manual and in my book, I have a whole chapter called Elevated Conversations.
When you think that I read it?
Well, yeah, well, I appreciate that you did, but the thing is that I got to tell you, dude, like, I am right now. You and I, we were kids, we still are to some of the people that listen to us. We were kids when we saw this hype come through with social media, video, and it was this thing, and we even bought into it a little bit, that you got to do this or you just can't do this. Now, AI is completely different. Do not get me wrong. I mean, it's not even comparable, but it is in a way, in the fact that we allow hype to overrun what we're doing. And one of the things we do especially me, especially you, especially people who are thinking about this, is we forget about insurance agency in small town Illinois or in 50,000. Those agencies, dude, they're going to be there in 5 years. They're going to be there in 10 years. They really, truly are.
I agree.
After 10 years, I don't know. I don't know so much about after 10 years. I'm telling you, there's a limit to what Cass is saying here.
Well,
I'm just
what's going to
not
happen
buying
is
the
their
hype
margins
that
are going to
this
get
is happening
squeezed.
soon.
The problem is their margins are going to get squeezed. It's not going to happen because they can't sell stuff. The problem is they're not going to be able to operate on the margins that are going to get compressed. So
It makes sense.
I had this conversation with someone the other day. Our industry runs at what, on the low end of 15 net EBITDA, and on the top end 23, 25. So, is that fair to say?
Let's talk realistic terms to people that people. We have $1 million revenue agency. They, according to Reagan's best practices, they spend 55% of that on personnel costs. That's labor, that's health insurance, it's everything. 55%. So that means most agencies are around 60%. And me and you, our agencies will be around 15 to 20% in the next 3 to 5 years. How do they compete with that margin is what you're saying. You can't continue to spend 60% on your people and Cass spends 20% on his people and expect to beat me.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Where there's two places you can squeak margin out of this business, right? The way it's always been done, we've basically, there's a set of best practices that you can follow to get the most margin, but you're capped. You have to do things differently, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason I was able to grow Rogue as fast as I was and sell it was because I did things differently. I did exactly what I was telling you in 2010 that everyone said is a fad and you don't have to do. And yeah, you don't have to do it. True. But I also grew an agency from $35,000 and sold it for 7 figures. And while you guys are all still plugging away doing cold call training, right? So like, I hear you, but I've been right and you've been wrong. So, my point in saying that is there's only two places.
In your area, you've been right. A lot of people still cold call and make millions of dollars.
Really slowly. Really, really slowly.
Hanley, I got to tell you this. You are in this Ivy Tower right now like I've never seen you. You got to understand there's America out here that eventually will use Linqura, but they ain't using Linqura next year or 3 years from now, and they're still going to be here.
No. I mean, look, man, I've been in the business for what, 2 years less than you? And I've been in, so I've seen it from the agent side. I've seen it from the agency owner side. I've seen it from the tech vendor side. I've seen it from the association side. I've seen it from the speaker side. I've seen it from the consultant side. So like, I've seen it from a lot of different directions. And I completely understand this is what I like to do method. I'm not judging, but I'm not judging at all. If you want to cold call, cold call. If you're good at it and you like it, go do it. If it works, I've never been judgy. I just hear a tremendous amount of complaining about downward pressure from carriers and inability to find leads and flow and margin and growth. And when I hear those complaints and I've provided an answer for almost 2 decades to the problem that no one uses, and then I say something about AI and people are like, no, you're wrong again. And I'm like, no, dude, I did it. I literally, all you haters out there that told me I was full of shit during my Agency Nation days, right? I literally went out and did it. I did it. I get for credit for it. I get 0 credit. But for 4 years at Agency Nation saying, tell your story, digitize the soul of your business, create content, drive low-cost inbound leads via educating your market. My CAC on inbound leads was like $4.
So because you did it, what do you want other people to do? In the meantime, they were making money too. They're still making millions.
Head in the sand on this, right? This is not something we can stick our head in the sand. Yeah.
Okay.
On what's happening right now and beyond. We have to think about the downward pressure that this is creating, not just on our agencies from an operational automations perspective. Our carriers are also feeling the same pressure, right? Correct. And that pressure is going to get pushed down to us. And our tech vendors are feeling the same pressure, right? And so it's going to get pushed down to us. And this is going, all these margins are going to start to come down. And there's only 2 places where I believe we can find the replacement margin in our business.
Okay. What you got?
Only 2 places.
I want to hear this.
First place, right, is in the quality of our data. We've been talking about it for a very long time, and I completely agree, but it's still not the truth. It's absolutely the truth. If you understand who's in, what they have, what they need, and you have the ability to do things like keep them, right? Increase retention, cross-sell, find opportunities to sell more products in them, bring more products. Think of your business. It was funny. David Crothers said something the other day. We need to think of our business as a media company. And I was like, dude, good luck. I've been talking about this forever, right? we have to think about what we're doing, not as I sell insurance products, because when we think I sell insurance products, statistically, you undersell. 67% of the small business market is underinsured. And I think for the most part, that's because we simply don't offer them all the products they need. I think they would buy a lot of them. I know they wouldn't buy all of them. They would buy more. We just, hey, I got the bop and the comp. Out the door it goes, on to the next one, right? So I think a lot of that has to do with good data. You're right about that, sir. The second is the stuff that you talk about a lot, which is building in automation and efficiency and effectiveness. So you either, if you're looking at your business, right, unless you're going to dump a mountain of cash or you're actually going to do the hard work of generating an inbound content stream, it's going to be very difficult to increase leads. Because right now you have third parties outside the industry just trolling leads all day and pushing up lead cost. Yeah. Right? Like if buying leads has gone up and it's only going to get harder. Google search doesn't really work anymore, despite what certain SEO vendors online are saying. You're crazy if you're investing in SEO right now outside of YouTube SEO. That's the only one that still works.
Talk, please, Ryan. Yes.
So here's the thing. So how do I grow my business? I'm not trying to be an asshole here, guys. I'm trying to I feel like watching what happens on LinkedIn, you guys get patty caked all the time. You get this, people tell you what they think they want to hear, right? Cold calling still works. SEO still works. You're fine the way you're doing business. It's going to be another 10 years. AI isn't what it's meant to be. You're fine. Don't worry. Buy my thing, right? That's the message that you get from people. And look, I've never been a guy who would stand up here for better or for worse. And I've taken just as many errors as you, if not more, right, over the course of my career. I want you to be successful. I love this industry. I love the people in this industry. I want you to be successful. So what I'm saying is, if you look at your business, you're not going to be able to sell more leads, right? If you can close more of the leads you bring in, that would be great. That's what the one call close process is all about. But at the end of the day, there's two places. Do you understand who you write? Right? Is your data crisp, clear? Can you get to the right leads better? Right? And instead of cold calling 100 people, why not cold call the 10 right people? Right? And spend more time with them. Things like that. Is your data good? And then the other place is efficiency. We have to start thinking about efficiency. And if you can turn Tammy Sue from a CSR into a salesperson, because 60% of her time work, the transactional time work she's doing as a CSR, can be placed in a more sales-oriented capacity, that is how you create more efficiency, effective, and upward drive in your business. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we're going out of business.
If you're listening to it, back it up, hit the 15-second mark thing. Hey, on Apple, what is it? It is the backwards and the forward seconds. Is it 15? Is it 30?
15. Yeah, I think it's 15.
Okay, it's 15. So hit that 6 times and then just listen to what Hanley just said, because that was good stuff. It's 15 on Spotify, too. I never really knew if it was 15 on Apple.
I think it's 30 forward, 15 back.
That right there, y'all learned something today. Dude, Hanley, that's some good shit right there. You're 100% on. These efficiencies is where this is coming from. And then the productivity comes. You hear a lot of people. I was talking to, I won't go into the story, but you hear basically agents say, I've been in the business 3 years. I'm drowning in service work. It's preventing me from growing. And you have idiots who say, man, you just got to keep growing and you'll get through it. No, you got to figure out a way to fix the efficiencies. So that's how every agency is. We got to fix the efficiencies first, which is what AI is going to do. It's going to drive productivity. The agency today that has 10 people has 8 licensed and 2 VEs, in my opinion. Probably in a year might have 7 people and 2 VEs, 7 licensed people. No. I'm going to say it's going to say about the same, but I would say around 5 years, 2030 and above, you will see a drastic decline, in my opinion.
Well, you're going to see a decline from people aging out, and the fact that our industry is so bad at marketing itself, we're just not going to get the talent in. That's why you're going to see a decline. I don't think anyone should be firing people, just so we're clear. what I see as like that
But
agency.
but to say that that's not going to happen, Hanley, come on. I mean, we're going to be
Well,
in the
no, I
next
mean,
5-7 years. We will be 30% less
yeah, but that's
of an
because of aging
industry.
out. That's not going to be because people are getting fired. It's going to be aging out. Our industry is so old that those people are just going to be retiring, right? So, and I
Okay.
don't think we're
Okay.
not bringing new blood in my opinion. Now, because I'll be honest with you, if I were looking at this and I had that agency 8 people, two VEs, I would assume the mix is probably 1 or 2 producers and 6 humans, six US based
Something like
licensed people
that.
who are doing service work.
That's
I
right.
think what's going to happen is that ratio flips. You have 6 salespeople serviced by 2 licensed people and 2 VEs, right? And then that should go down to
That's
1
logical.
licensed person and 2 VEs because what I'm from the back end service efficiency standpoint,
Okay.
you should be getting more productivity if you're putting these things in place
Right.
per CSR per customer rep.
I have never in my life had you and I talk about the same thing and say it completely differently, but you just did it again. Okay. So, but you would still lay people off
Why?
because Joanne, who's been the service lady for 26 years, is not going into production.
Oh,
But
okay. All
you
right. I was
that's you see
thinking,
what I mean? Me and you keep
yeah,
saying
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
thing just
I
from
was
different
thinking net.
angles. I'm
I
like,
was thinking
wow.
net people, not
Right. This is
the actual humans. Yeah. Well,
right.
I think what you do is you go to Tammy Sue and you say,
Mhm.
hey, I would like you to become our renewal upsell manager, right? Right. So now, all the,
Mhm.
how many agency owners have you talked to? And it's never their first bitch, but somewhere down the list, 3, 4, 5, they're like, man, I wish we're never upselling on renewal. My service team doesn't upsell on renewal, right? You start to hear that. Well, if
Mhm.
she has 60% less of her time has to be taken up doing transactional stuff, well, now because my firm belief is a lot of that has to do with inefficiencies in how the account management team does their work, which is why they
Yes.
don't actually upsell and cross sell,
Agree
not that they
100%.
don't
Yes,
want to
sir.
or can. So, but
Mhm.
if 60% of her time, just using that number that we set, is reduced on the transactional activities that she has to do, she has 60% of her time to do those cross sells and upsells. Now, if she's
Mhm.
unwilling to do that job, yes, you have to put someone there. You have a business to run, right? But when I was really talking net humans.
No,
Then
you are,
yeah,
but you're talking something great also because I want to talk about another thing. There's this other thing that I've had of in 1900, our lives were not as good as they are today, and a lot of technological advances have made life better. I truly believe there's another side of this, and we need to talk about ITC, which believe me, loyal listeners, that's why Hanley and I were actually going to get on this, and we haven't even talked about it yet, but we're getting ready to. But Michael Cruz is speaking at ITC, which is a
Mhm.
reason you should come and see him because for his 15 or his 20-minute talk, I love how we do these little 15,
The
20-minute
mic drop
talks. I
sessions.
think
Yeah,
they're awesome, dude. They're
yeah.
awesome, but Michael did something different and I copied him. And I want us to all think about this side of it. What do we say? Product and efficiencies. Why do we always have to win? At what point in time do we stop worrying about productivity and actually the efficiency of the mental state of our people, right? Because we keep just getting this rat race faster and faster.
Yep.
Michael came up with a 4-day work week. His is about the same as mine. He did it for a month and then I copied him. He started on May 1st of 2024. I started on June 1st of 2024. My people in my office, everybody comes in on Monday. They all come in on Friday, meaning everybody works because a lot of them are remote stuff. Everybody's working. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have 2 people off every day that are rotating. And those people now work. So think of this. 8.5, we work from 8:30 to 4:30 and we get an hour lunch. That's 7 hours a day. They work 4 days a week. That's 28 hours. My people are working full time for my agency for 28 hours. Now, my accountant, she's there for full time, but I'm talking about my service staff. My producers, they can if they want, but they're producers. They know they're paid on commission. They got to work. But that's how we roll. And there comes a point in time where we have to start saying productivity is something we can get also, but in some of Susie's time that we're saving, let's try to kick 10 to 20% of that to her to be able to utilize as well. And I think we need to continue on with thinking about that.
I think it's
Michael,
wonderful.
you need to come to ITC, everybody. And when you
Yeah.
come to ITC, come on Tuesday, the 14th, and Michael is going to be speaking, and he's going to be talking about his 4-day
I think that
year.
session is going to be full because I think a lot of people are interested in that. I think what you brought up is a really important point. And this is one of the things that I think I get the most misunderstood when I talk, right? I talk fast, I curse, I talk in hyperbole, I like to tell stories. All those things are true.
It's fun. That's why people like to listen to you, though.
Yeah, but I think people misunderstand when some of the things I say, right? You have to understand it's based on growth. All I can do is grow companies. We talked about on this show, I'm not a good peacetime general. If everything's going great and you want to incrementally improve your business, I'm not your guy. My brain is broke, guys. I'm crazy. I have to deal with it every day. The leadership process that I talk about finding peak, I developed because of the fact that I am constantly leaning forward into my skis. So I had to create guardrails. Okay. So understand what I'm about to say. What I've always respected about you, dude, is that I would never even consider a 32-hour work week. However, I went about it a different way with Rogue Risk, where I gave my people ultimate flexibility because I had a lot of single moms and moms of young kids. That's how I acquired the talent that I got. And I gave them a completely flexible schedule. I just had hard figures they had to hit on a monthly basis. And then we had a very clear 3-month PIP process if they didn't hit their numbers, right? So it made it unemotional. That's how I handled that. But I think what I've always respected about you is you clearly define what you want your life and your business to be, right? So for you, right, your agency has always been you have all the ability, skills, capacity, energy to be in a massive high growth agency. Go out and acquire agencies, build a team of guys, grow full tilt. You have that ability. And you've chosen, right, to build, and I don't want to call it a lifestyle agency in a negative way, but an agency that fits your lifestyle that you want to live with your kids and your wife and your people, right? That's what you've built. That. I think that this question that we've been batting back and forth, which this has been wonderful, by the way, is I think this question becomes much easier for the agencies that clearly understand what they want their business to be, right? If you are that alpha guy or gal who is looking to, do something that they write songs about in the industry, you have to be hardcore. There is no 32-hour work weeks. There is no feelings and emotions attached to our people. It is full tilt AI automation. You have to have a marketing strategy that's driving low cost of acquisition leads in. You have to have a sales, but you have to have all this in place, and you have to be a maniac if that's what you want. But not everyone wants that.
That's true.
To your point, if you're
frame that well, Ryan.
If you're saying, hey, all I need to make my life as happy as it could possibly be is the freedom to choose my schedule and 200 and take home a month or 200 and take home a year. That's what I'm looking for, right? Let's just say you're a small town agency from upstate New York. You do a great job for your people. You love your town. You're involved in the little league, and that's what you want, right? 7 people, 200K and take home. And we get to have a second house and life is easy and everything's great. That's wonderful. You do not need to give AI and automation the same attention or be as urgent with it as someone who's looking full tilt growth. So it's just,
I like that.
I'd say take this on.
I like that.
Based on what you want out of your agency, right? For Rogue, we were maniacs with automation and efficiency because I wanted to grow, right? I had a chip on my shoulder. There were dozens, if not hundreds of people in our industry that told me that the stuff that I talk about is nonsense. It's full of shit. You can't grow an agency that way. You have to meet your people in person. Well, I put 1,200 plus accounts on the books and only met 2 of them in person. So you, right? I had a chip on my shoulder when I built that agency. So I wanted to go fast because I wanted to show everybody that I get it, but there's other ways of doing this business, right or wrong. Okay. That doesn't have to be. That was also, knew me then. I was stressed to the till, anxious constantly, right? Not everybody wants that life. And I don't recommend that life to everybody. So figure out what you're trying to do in your agency. Don't get caught in the FOMO of this agent that I go to a networking event with is doing this ridiculous, just bought this crazy automate. Do you want that agency's agent? Or do you want that agent's agency? ask yourself that question before you
That's
chase the
great.
next tool or
Oh,
process,
that's the best thing you said today. That's
right?
great.
Here's my thing, right? Like, again, I'll bring Carruthers up because I love him to death, right?
Mhm. Good
Despite he's
dude.
just as crazy as we are.
He is crazy and good dude.
A lot of people chase his way of doing things, but I don't know that they would want his agency, right? Like, he deals with really big accounts. It's
Mhm.
what he likes doing, right? One
Mhm.
account, and he's even said it on his podcast before. One of his accounts leaves. It's a huge hit to his revenue because the way his business is set up. Like, do
Yep.
you want that stress? I know it looks good. Right? Hey, I wrote $1 million premium account with all these trucks. And I get the skill and sophistication and talent that it takes to bring that in. I understand that part of it, right? But do you want
No.
20% of your revenue to hang on one account every year or whatever, right? Like, is that what you really want?
Right.
Because that's the pressure and stress that comes with growing that agency. So my point here is chase the agencies that you want to look like, right? Figure out what you want to look like, right? Chase some of the things they're doing. And if you understand what you actually want out of your agency, then these decisions become really easy. Do I need to go out and build NAM AI automations? Well, I run a local agency where I mostly write Main Street stuff and personal lines, and I have a couple nice big accounts because my buddies own businesses, and life is great. No, you don't need to go out and build AI automations. You don't need to do that, right? Don't do that. Focus on
So
maybe
well
read the book
said.
Giftology, or I just read, dude. Have you ever read Unreasonable Hospitality?
No.
Oh my God, dude. So I just read this when I was on vacation last week, and I've heard of this book for a while. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality for anyone who's watching on the video or YouTube or whatever. It's by Will Guidara, and this guy. He owns he owns the number one restaurant in the world, or like by like food served, like whole experience, right? This is like beyond Michelin stars. Like he owns the number one. And he doesn't win it every year, but if you hit it once, you're you're the
dude.
Brad Pitt of restaurateurs. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what he equates it to is this idea that he calls unreasonable hospitality. And I'm telling you, dude, this isn't just like a service, how to do service book. This is a leadership and culture book, and it is amazing. Like
I'll
this
read
would be
that.
on like anybody that I coach from now on. Anybody that comes in, if you haven't read this, you're reading it. Like, because I sign some books to people, like this is absolutely going on the must-read list. It is absolutely phenomenal. And like read this. Instead of doing AI automation, read this book and take some of the lessons from this and
Mhm.
apply them to your agency. So, you can grow in a way that you enjoy growing in your town, in your region.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, I guess my point here is, if you want to go full tilt and take over the world, there is a way to do that, and AI is the way. But if you're happy where you are, dabble, play around, follow the 2030 plan, right? Like take things on in a slow way, implement them, and you'll be just fine, and you'll be great. You'll be no problem.
Hanley, over on ITC, dude, they had a problem, dude. That was a big old area where like investors and carriers and tech people would like get in like the corner and just like rub and feel each other, and kind of snuggle up to each other. And us agents would go there and there was nothing for us. And then they said, okay, hey, we're going to start building something for agents. And this was like before COVID. They like tried right before there. And then we went there, and like if you didn't have 300 people in your office, they weren't really talking to you.
Yep.
And then then they made a little hire. They said, hey, the company that runs ITC, they said, we want to invest in agents. They literally made a proactive hire, went and got a badass. And that badass came in and said, I think I can help agents. And one of the things he did immediately is he reached out to people like yourself and said, how can we bring that value? And it only made sense, right? I'm not here to beat up ITC's butt, but let's be honest, they are the largest event in our space. And agents are the only people that are not there. So kudos to them for recognizing that and putting money into it. And I know some of the future, this is just the beginning. But Ryan, when they reached out to you, tell us this story a little bit. And people don't know this really.
Yeah. So they reached out to me in August of 2023. 2020. Yeah,
Three. It was three.
23. Yeah, 23. Because then
Wouldn't have been
24 was the
24 because
first
you
year.
did it
Yeah,
in
last year
24.
was the
Yeah.
first year. So 2023. And the rock star you're talking about is Drake. Drake's the man. Love Drake.
Yep. Drake is great.
And I was interested because I had been twice before. I knew there was potential there. But the first thing I said to them is like, I'm not getting involved in this if you're just going to give lip service to agents, right? If this is just like, hey, we did a regression analysis and agents are our weakest demographic, so let's bring some in and make some more money. Like I was like, this, you can't tailor the program that you create for investors and startups because that's like a big circle jerk. I was like, you have to, the agents want programming. They want to learn. They want to figure out who should I be following that I'm not following today, right? Like Gordon, right? So Gordon Coyle spoke last year, and Gordon's doing some amazing things. And Gordon doesn't speak on a lot of stages, and it was he's done some podcasts and stuff. But he had like 24 people lined up to talk to him after his talk, right? Because I think they hadn't heard his way, his style, and now they got introduced to a new thought process. So I love that. One, they've been, I said I have these programming notes that like, if you do certain things, this event will not work. Like I've been speaking at agent events for a very long time. Like there's, we want to make, it has to be agent focused. This can't be vendors just out there pitching, all this kind of stuff. And we came up with this idea of mic drops. Because I said, one of the things that I think helps that not everyone's commit to an hour. Even if you like the person, right? An hour-long keynote is a commitment if you're not online. And we don't know exactly who our audience is yet. So we put this idea of mic drop sessions, which are 15 minutes. Speaker comes out, one topic, hit it hard, out, next person up, next person up, next person up. And we found it was the most highly reviewed section. Wow, I think we did 5. We did a block of 5 in the afternoon. And that was the most highly reviewed section of the whole day, was just getting one thought leader or one thought after the next thought after the next. So if you weren't interested, you go up and hit the bathroom real quick, and 15 minutes later you had someone else coming in who was hitting it hard again. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. We had 370 something ish agents last year for the first year. Most of the people that reached out to me after the event were like, I just didn't even know. And that's just part of getting the buzz out. So I'm excited for what this year is going to be and where it's going to go. And I love the fact that BrainShare is going to be there. I think that brings another great community in, and it's pretty exciting. I will say that I've gotten some feedback that people are like, oh, they're just this big company and they don't give a shit. And I'll tell you, like that may be true from the outside, and I get that part. But like Drake has a lot of autonomy. He has been very accepting of the ideas I've had and some of the other people that have been involved. And he honestly wants this to be a badass agent event that people get massive value from. Like he truly cares. Like he goes to agent events. Yeah. He goes to other events. He's been at our events. So like he's putting in the work and legwork to make this into an awesome thing. And so it's exciting to be a part of.
I agree emphatically with you. Drake is the real deal. I was one of those people that was from the outside. It was like, come on, dude. Like you really expect us to, but they have invested in other areas. And that's the thing. Drake hits me up. He hits you up all the time. He'd be like, Cass, I'm going to be at this show. Are you going to be there? I'm like, that's unbelievable that a person who's trying to create a show, you would think would go to those, but that doesn't normally happen, and the fact that he's doing it. Plus Drake's just a damn good dude.
He's a good dude. Yeah.
He's he's one of those people that you meet, loyal listeners, and you're like, damn, this is a good dude. Yeah. And he really has his heart in it. And he's got an English accent that drives the women crazy. So, just something like that. But the other thing is, the other cool part is Cass is going to be there on the 14th. Hanley's going to be there. All these agents are going to be there on October 14th. October 15th is going to be a brain share. I always forget the time. It's like from 11 in the afternoon to 3 in the afternoon or something like that. It's something like that. Like it's the worst timing possible because it goes right through lunch, but Drake has his reasoning. So we stuck with it. No, we have our reasoning. And also I think the keynotes for the whole event or that morning, which is going to be
Yeah.
cool, right? So you come on Tuesday, you listen to all of us badass agents do these mic drops. You go out, hang out in Vegas. Don't worry, tell your significant others you'll be good, and you're not going to say anything because it's in Vegas. And then on Wednesday, you're going to listen to the keynotes, and then you're going to come to Cass's Brain Share. That's going to be 200 of us max inside of a room. We're going to have microphones floating around. Hanley will have a microphone. I'll have a microphone. Mitch Gibson will have a microphone. Other people, and you're going to stand up and give your thoughts, and then we just go. And
Oh, like we did it in St. Louis. Didn't you do it in St. Louis like that?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yes.
That's right.
Pretty
Yep.
close, 3 hours apart from each other. To you, it's flyover territory.
It's all
the same to Hanley. That's okay. That's acceptable. Except more people know where Kansas City is now, because Taylor Swift and old Kelsey out over there.
I just know West and Flat. That's it.
So anyways, come to ITC. You really do. And there's a promo code. If you go to my LinkedIn page or you go to Hanley's LinkedIn page or you'll see that when we talk about it, there's I think a $400 promo code.
Yeah.
You go to Hanley's, his is probably bigger. So go over to his. I don't know.
Yeah, just DM me on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever. And I'll, if you want to go, and I'll send you the link too. It doesn't matter whose link you use. It's not like,
there's already more people signed up this year than there was all last year. And last year was a record breaking year, dear to you, Hanley. So this is really, really looking good.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. Paradiso's speaking, which will be fun.
Yeah.
Madison Baker, who a lot of people, you may have seen her on LinkedIn. She works for Marsh. She's got a really cool brand and a lot of cool stuff to say. And she doesn't do a ton of speaking either yet. So I love when you can get someone who's kind of new to sharing what they're up to, which would be cool. Obviously, Michael Cruz, just so many good people.
So many.
And, I just think the quick punchy format is nice. It's a great group. And what I thought was really interesting last year is you could get an idea, right? I need to do, make something up, drip email marketing, right? Whatever. Let's just make something up. Well, then you could literally go out to the showroom floor or the vendor floor on, the vendor floor for ITC agents, or go out to the bigger floor and literally find the vendors that could solve the problem right there. Doesn't mean you have to buy from them, but it's not like you have to get the idea, then you go back to your office, hope you remember it, go to some websites. Like you can go find and talk to all these people right in front of you and vet them whether you think it's legit or it works for your agency. So there's not a lot of events that have that, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. It is. And the last thing I got to say, before it was friendly to agents, I used to go there. And the reason I would go is because there is a different mix of agents. You're going to see a bunch of agents come out that don't normally come out. And it's just kind of cool to not see
there's
the
no
same
politics. There's no Big I, PIA, this carrier group, this agency network. It's like neutral territory, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what I assume all the globalists do when they meet for like Davos or whatever, right? It's like there's no politics. It's just how do we take all these schmucks' money? No. I do. Sorry,
That's
I do.
Sorry.
This is what happens when you get me in the morning.
I understand. That's why I wanted it.
So, and I will say, I know people are probably laughing, and I don't mean that to be like whatever. It is interesting when there's not like a board meeting afterwards, or people. There's no CE, right? So the people that are there because they chose to buy what was probably a $700 to $1,000 plane ticket, probably $1,000 in hotel expenses. Depending on when you bought your ticket and what discount code you get, $600 to $1,200 for a ticket, right? Yep. Food, right? So they've put serious cash down to be there and chosen to be there without any political or CE related things involved. So you get very invested people that are at this, like they're there to build connections, do business, find partners. And it's just a different kind of energy. It was the energy that I was trying to bring to Elevate. I was trying to break down those barriers. Because I think when you're not there for political or CE related things, it just opens up a whole new level of energy that is exciting. And I think it's what helps people grow. So.
And then then after that, you go eat, then you hit the clubs, go to Dre's,
Play some
live
craps.
it up,
Yeah.
So
buy some Coke from a dealer on the street. You know, it's all part of the experience.
To those who do that, you have that option.
I
Cass
don't
is over
advocate
there.
for it. It's there though. It's on the menu.
Cass is over at the dispensary knocking on the door.
Yeah. Our bodies already produce too many uppers.
Hey, Hanley, close it up, brother. Close it up for me.
Love you guys. Linqura is continuing to grow every day. If you're interested in, right now where we add the most value is in data pre-fill and in, pulling in firmographics, property data, et cetera. If you're interested, go to linqura.com. I am creating quite a bit around leadership. It's like leadership X performance related stuff. And if you go to findingpeak.com, you can subscribe for free. It's a newsletter. And then from there, we got the podcast and other cool shit. And if I can ever be of value, guys, just reach out to me. This is my 20th year in the biz, Cass. And I still love helping agents and people as much as I talk shit. I love helping them as much as I did day one. So just reach out if I can be of service.
I sure do too. So, hey, I want to let everybody know that's why I do what I do for you, because I bring people like Hanley on. He challenges me. I challenge him. What's amazing is I think that there's people, if this is one of your first times listening to Hanley and I, you probably are thinking 15 minutes in that this podcast was going to turn off, right? And that's why everybody else who's listened to all of us continues to listen, because they know that this is just Cass and Hanley going back and forth. And what was so funny, I've never had it before, loyal listeners, if you've listened, how we were actually saying the exact same things. We were just coming from the two opposite ends of the spectrum, but to say the same thing. It was so freaking wild.
Well, you are a lefty now, so it makes sense that we would be coming from different directions.
Okay, a lefty. So, hey, I want to let y'all know that y'all do. I do what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to. I just messed that whole damn
guys,
thing up.
The look on his face when I said that. Oh my God! Go to the YouTube channel and just look at the expression on his face when I said that. It was worth it. I didn't know how much I would get, but it was so worth it.
It probably was worth it. You know what I do because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts, tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This is Big Cass. He is out. See you, bud.